things are going.
Take your 5 minutes in the moment, appreciate all you have to say, so if I'm getting for somebody else.
How about it? All right.
Thanks.
Thank you for your time.
Ron, I have a chamber update. I don't know if it was a separate spot on the agenda or if it's appropriate time for it.
Not really, but why don't you just, hang on until the public forum's over, if your schedule will allow it.
Sounds good.
You
No,
can
no.
have it on public forum.
Thank you all for allowing me to speak. I'm here today because I watched the video from last week's work session, and I'd like to add some helpful context to the discussion concerning the vote tonight with respect to EPC and CERT. I hope that you'll all allow me a few extra minutes for this context, because I think it's important, since nobody that was there on the committee full time was really able to speak to some of the things that were accomplished and to give context. The EPC was created, someone suggested that was created because I was upset about a train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. It wasn't because I was upset. It was created because I had concerns as I watched incidents occur in small communities across our country, culminating with the train derailment in Ohio, during which local government officials were criticized publicly for the lack of timely information and action. As a local official myself, I realized how unprepared I was to deal with similar situations in our community. I began asking questions and digging for existing information. Jack Maxwell was extremely helpful and offered to help gather documents the town had. He knew quite a bit about what existed and in some cases what was lacking. The long and short of it was that the town's emergency operations plan was sorely out of date and lacked information to deal with threats of our current world. As a result, I offered to start a committee to explore potential improvements. Jack, through his extensive network of contacts, brought others to join. The team consisted of town staff, first responders, and professionals who worked in the field of emergency preparedness at local or national levels. There were around 10 to 12 members who contributed their thoughts and ideas throughout the committee's existence. The committee focused on 4 projects: update the existing EOP to bring it to a current state and fill in the gaps. The second, develop a communication solution to address internet outages during an emergency. The third, develop an updated electronic alerting system to alert the community of any serious threats in the town. This came as a result of a fire that happened across the street when local business owners had stopped me and said, how am I going to know what's going on if I don't have an alert coming on my phone or something equivalent? And the last was to update all town properties with E911 signs for improved response times for first responders, which came as a result of a meeting and a walkabout with Chief Kersley. The following are noteworthy regarding the efforts on these projects. Jack and I began addressing the lack of E911 signs. He identified a grant. I wrote and submitted the grant applications to provide said signs to all locations in towns through his nonprofit. The grant was approved and work began on a property inventory locating all properties in towns without E911 signs. Jack and Javier compiled that list in conjunction with an inventory for the Architecture Review Board. A plan to mandate all town properties have an E911 sign modeled after what neighboring counties of Fluvanna and Buckingham had done was presented and rejected by council. As a plan B, the committee opted to provide signs free to anyone in town who wanted one. The grant was implemented and completed in the fall of 2024. Jack gathered information about our current comms infrastructure and working with Chief Jenkins, local experts, counterparts in neighboring counties like Mike Culp of Albemarle County, and our local communications company worked to solve the problem of communications when internet access is unavailable. A solution has been identified and tested since. Jack worked with the current ECC or the county ECC office, who thought it might be possible to tailor their existing electronic notification system to provide not just countywide incident alerts, but to have a specific implemented set for the town of Scottsville as a subset. This was left in the county's hands to further it. I'm unaware of any results that happened as a result of that. Chief Kersley agreed that his organization would be the most appropriate to update the emergency operation plan. The committee agreed with the caveat that a draft would come back to the committee for review. While his team did that through a lean process over a 3-week period, EPC developed a subsequent rubric to evaluate the document upon review. The updated EOP was completed by Chief Kersley's team, but it was never submitted back to the EPC for official review. Not that I was aware of anyway. It was noted that threats identified in the rubric were not included in that update when somebody did get the document through back channels. EPC did not offer a response, and a decision was made to redo the EOP within the committee to broaden its scope and fill in those gaps. Work throughout the summer of 2024 focused on developing a draft EOP, although this work was not completed fully. And to clarify, the committee never lost its spark, as Chief Kersley claimed, but rather they were heads down, busy trying to solve problems to actively improve the safety of this community. In addition, and simultaneously, Jack independently completed his FEMA training and worked on creating the CERT organization to help the community in times of need. CERT was included as a participant in the EPC drafted by the committee. I'd like to make 2 final comments as I close, and I want to echo what Molly said. Too often, what is discussed at council is a list of problems, naming particular individuals in staff or work programs across town, and they're depicted negatively. What is often left out of these discussions, however, are the positive contributions made and the progress contributed by any given individual, whether we're talking about maintenance, whether we're talking about minutes being updated, whether we're talking about EPC and CERT. I think those things, those positive contributions should be weighed in the decision. I'd ask that you consider the valuable contributions that may be lost if you decide to negate what's currently in place. And what's more, in regarding EPC and CERT, I'd like you to consider the following questions that EPC tried to solve and wrestled with. Are you familiar with the 7 categories of threats that were identified by the EPC? Are you aware that the county's EOP did not include inputs or address issues in Scottsville? Some people say we should turn to the county for help, but the county has not included us in those conversations. Did you know that the county's plan specifically states that all areas should be prepared to be self-sufficient for at least 72 hours before any county help might arrive? Do all town officials understand their role and how to coordinate with others in incident command structure for any given incident type? If a serious incident occurs and evacuations are to take place, do you know where everyone is to evacuate to? And if that place is unavailable, the secondary location, how will you evaluate those with disabilities or medical challenges, or how will power be supplied to any medical devices that they rely on? Voting to abolish EPC and CERT implies that you either have the answers and are comfortable with them, or that you don't care about them. If you do not have the answers to these and others like them, I recommend that you continue the good work that has been started through EPC and CERT. But whatever the case, I can guarantee that these questions can be answered neither by FEMA or neither by Ready.gov. Thank you. I also have one thing to leave you all with. We've talked before about train derailments and what is carried on those trains. It was mostly said that toll is carried. There's an article here from 2023 that said that intimates that there's a lot more that's being carried on these trains that are advertised to the public. So I think it's something that might be helpful for you too.
Thank you for what
That
you
should be
shared.
considered. Thank you.
Thank you for what you shared.
That's it. Mr. Walker, you're going to report on the chamber?
Yes, sir. Sorry, I wasn't able to during the work session. We had our meeting the next day, and
basically working through a lot of the events that we have coming up. No new events except for, I didn't hear Scan mention the joint after hours coming up on September 10th. And we're doing a tour of Victory Hall, going around town, maybe checking out the gallery, maybe ending up at the brewery. So doing a little bit more of an active after hours, getting around to some of the businesses. Still working on the wine festival, working through some of the details, but also starting to plans and firming up some details on our annual dinner, which as chamber members, as that the town is, are invited. And we decided on holding it at the news event space at Hardware Hills this year. So that ought to be a nice change in venue. If you haven't been there, it's really they've done a lot with the old Thistlegate Winery and made a lot of improvements. We'll be giving out the Scottsville Spirit Award that was won by the Tavern at the Holiday Happenings event last year. They were most well decorated and voted the most Spirit Award, so I'll be presenting that. And then along with Citizen of the Year, those nomination forms will be coming out pretty soon. And if they haven't already come out, I haven't been up on email today, but Citizen of the Year, I think it's worth noting given the circumstances, was given to Jack Maxwell last year, recognized by the chamber members of his activity in the town and volunteer efforts. And while I'm not sure that everybody knows all that goes into it and all the behind the scenes, but I will say that the nomination letters that came in were pretty inspiring and well thought out. So just leave you with that. But yep, that's all that's going on with chamber.
Question? Excellent.
Yep.
Thank you.
I don't have anything to add. Questions or long staff reports, or is that administrator?
So, I sent you all, I provided an email, a document that I sent to, a representative, Mr. Pruitt. And, as the mayor and I had talked, and I think he was actually talking with Mr. Pruitt as well, he had indicated to ask for more, than what just that exact levy repair is. So that email that I sent you all, I did ask for, the pump house, and the ceiling, those repairs. I also, well, you can see the document, that I had provided before. The capital repairs at 85,000, the generator replacement, that we've already paid for, but I put that in, asking for, money for that. Also for the diesel fuel, the pump house telephone system, that's about $1,200 a year. Also the alarm system, I included the mowing and, the levy superintendent salary and his FICA. So, hopefully I'll be hearing, something soon or positive that they decided to, give us some more money for that. And I provided the Army Corps of Engineering inspection report and 2 of the bills that were for the replacement of the generator and the fence system. Let's see what else. I think some of this stuff is gonna be later on in the report, the business license and operable repair car, vehicles. We talked about the volunteer application form and the policy, so I did update that. I know some of the councilmen had asked me to make it more brief than what it was. So I did that. And so the form's shorter and then the information, the policy is a little different. It does speak to the town not being responsible for liability in the event that something would happen, to a volunteer if he's riding somewhere or she's riding somewhere. So that's I included it in here, so there won't be liability on the town, but the obviously the volunteer can certainly ride, you know, around town in the vehicle. I think we talked about scan. And, the cell, do we wanna talk about the cell tower? Document,
We can wait till we get down to it.
okay, all right,
So,
okay, perfect, and that's all I have, thank you.
when I get over, when I with the word is treasurer.
I did include, the profit and loss statement from July 1st to August 14th. And, just to be fair, all the information is not in this document, but I did wanna be able to say, yes, I provided you with, information, of where we are. And, Melody's been working like crazy trying to input all the different bills into the system. I would like to move towards using, QuickBooks. I, for one, will have to learn how to use it and not as beyond my residential, knowledge. And, anyway, I'm hoping that by getting trained on that, it'll be easier, and then the next time, every quarter, it's gonna be easier, and the information will be there for us. So, anyway, that's just basically what it would look like the next time, the next quarter it comes around, but, hopefully the numbers are gonna be a little bit more on the good side.
Yeah, with town administrator being new, I explained to her how historically our, bank balance gets forward towards the end of December, then the business licenses come in, then we start getting a. One way, they all really has some of it, so it may get great at some point in the late fall or early winter, but it's better than supposed to be here. Any questions for the town administrator?
The funds of the canal, the line here was said including the sponsorships for 4,300, much those expenses. I'm just curious for the now
Thanks.
second page of
The 43.95.
yeah. I think the town wasn't paying.
If I still show my books, because
Okay.
we are custodians of the checking account,
Okay.
so we have to show it as an in and out. And just look at that on 10/56/15 on page 3.
Yeah.
That's for your 43.95 with that.
Okay, so that's money that's going out, yeah, but money's coming in on sponsorships, that's a set of.
No, that's all in that account.
Okay. So sponsorship, I'm covering those, what is this now spending 43.95 on, what are we paying, so? We dig into it later.
I know they have barriers that
Right.
are,
All those,
the dams, all that, go to the police, but it's here.
Sponsorship should come in with money. I thought.
Yeah, it's what you have left to spend.
Okay, alright. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, let's go over the committee reports, Mr. Bissett, anything to report?
We had a nice meeting, with ARB, we approved the sign for the exotic store going in behind the tavern. Then we had a couple people come in to discuss the house lot down at the end of the street there. I'm not sure the address of it, but the abandoned lot that's been there for a while.
How's your boss?
Yeah. They have a couple of designs, which strangely, looking into our ordinances. When there's new construction, we don't, in the historic district, we don't encourage them to try to replicate historic construction, which I guess makes sense when you think about it, but so they just ran some ideas by the ARB. And we like what they have, so I think they'll come before us again in the future year. Okay, work something out.
Questions for Mr. Bissett? So,
Mr. Mayor, we have continued discussions about the comprehensive plan. One of the most active people working on the comprehensive plan is here tonight, and it's been a helpful process, which is nearing completion.
yeah, Albemarle's got their draft with, okay. They were behind the 17 people stuff. Is my scene anything report?
The government service committee met, and a lot of these are already on the agenda, but one of the big one was, as it has been for years, is maintenance for town, which is always a challenge. And we looked at costs of contracting out work, exceptional work, hopefully from lower. We looked at the budget and the budget process and proposed timeline for developing the budget, which we'll deal with later. But for next year, try to get that done in a timely manner and make sure everything's transparent. We're not waiting till the last minute. We looked a little bit at the parking letter, talked about that and the businesses and the residents. We looked a little bit at the volunteer policies too, which in the application, talk a little bit about that, pass that on. And the other idea that came out there is to look at the problem with the short-term interval between the work session of the town council and the meeting. There's like a week in between. It's hard to get an agenda in 6 days. Get all the material together. So that's something that consider in the future if you want to stagger that a little bit. We want Parks and Rec?
Yes, sir.
All right, Parks and Rec, we've still got some problems with getting money for things, but one of the biggest problems has been for years is to get handicap access to the dock. So that's going to be a challenge. That road is always a challenge. We talked about placement of the final kiosk on the levee and have information about the levee trail and floods. And of course, the other big one is the problem with the dam. And I sent information out a while back that the dam is compromised down yet. And we would have to find money or ways to remove the vegetation and some of the trees too near the dam as it's dam's problems. We talked about having a Scottsville boat landing sign.
Actually, Councilor Benson, let me disagree with what you just said.
Which part?
The dam is not compromised. There's some
Right.
there's some cleanup, and our town administrator has been working on it. But I just want the public not to. If the dam were compromised, we would have a significant.
Right.
But there's work that needs to be done.
Right, to get it up to speed, we've had inspections for the last 3 or 4 years, and they've always complained about some of the things that have not been done now. And one of it is getting rid of some of the vegetation and trees down there and still cleaning up that. So, but a lot of it's clean up, but it's going to take some work. And we probably need to do that. We were supposed to do that this year or last year, but we haven't done it. So the dam is a concern, yes. We looked at there's a suggestion to have this the Scottsville boat landing be identified as a Scottsville boat landing with our logo on there and some directional signs to the boat landing. So we're looking at that and the last thing is that with any improvements or maintenance of the active nature, we ask that we go through the committee, the park committee, so that people aren't going out there and just removing trains or trees or doing things without permission. So, if there's somebody wants to volunteer or help with that, that'd be great, but just don't go out and do that unless you kind of coordinate with the committee about what you're doing and give some direction.
Makes sense. Somebody going out there with chainsaws and I don't like this.
Yeah,
so I put it down.
Right.
Any questions for the class? Just playing everything over the agenda?
I guess most, notable thing that happened with the police department, this month is they delivered a new town truck. It was spayed, go up with suit ready, made possible by the nonprofit Scottsdale Volunteer Rescue Squad and the citizens of Scottsdale and the great Scottsdale area who had a money and that donated so generously over the years. And the squad was disbanded. There was a substantial sum left over. We were in litigation for 7 years and ended up right back at day one. $100,000 in lawyer fees. That could have been used to benefit the town. The vehicle's been in service for 2 weeks now, and we received a lot of compliments. And again, it was at no cost to the town of Scottsdale.
That's great. Really appreciate it. You got anything for us before we get to the?
I just worked through.
Okay. Back to the things quickly.
What Scan said, and then also we had a fine little canal this week, so it should be great weather, I think low 80s and low chance of rain, great band playing, come on out. Enjoy yourself.
One thing I did not mention earlier is, so fire chief here tonight, and he was part of this town administrator, and he and I joined forces and came up with the letter to the Albemarle County's fire department, basically saying, it's nice to have a new engine down the street, but, we can handle it ourselves, and if we need you, we'll call you. So that was nice of them, but in a nice form. But just to let them know that we have a dedicated group of about 50 volunteer firefighters. They, as I pointed out, we had that joint meeting and we had 20 of them, in fact, along the wall there. They had been pumping for a couple of days and been working their regular jobs and been calling calls of service, handling those at the same time. And we were saving the county about $1 million a year in the things that we do for the volunteer department. We really appreciate it. We need to give all the support we can. So that was the other thing that we pretty much did this, that's the.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, thanks.
All right, let's move on to item 7, and we'll start with Townsend. He brought this proposition up at the work session that we might not need the emergency preparedness committee, and that he is in charge of, and he's going to speak this time and maybe offer a suggestion.
First of all, I want to thank the people who came up to spoke to me. I appreciate it. I just want y'all to know, give you a little backstory. It had been brought to my attention when I did take over the EPC, that there was some concerns about how it was going. Councilor Bissett recommended that we put it on 3 months, giving it the time to investigate, see what's going on with the committee and everything. So I reached out to Jack, and Jack asked him to give me the name of all the people who are members of the committee. I sent an email out to each one of these people, and I gave them almost a month and a half for a spot. Only one person responded, and that person was very upfront. Also, I'm sorry that some of y'all feel that I didn't put too much effort into this, but I did. As a matter of fact, I have met with several of the other councilors. I met with the local fire department, with all the administration chief, the president, and everything. And I have also spoken with other agencies involved. As of right now, from what I see, as far as the EPC goes, it was created with good intention. Right now, it just seems like what we have is one active member, one liaison. And for the finding that I have seen, is with one person is not committed. And I just do not feel that it's beneficial to have a committee that only exists with one person. Yes, other people had, Miss Angie Vance, and she did, but when she did, said she was anyway, to join the committee. I told her I understood that, at the same time, I was trying to investigate the whole scenario. And so. Speaking with some of the other council members, at this point in time, I just do not feel that there is enough need for the most prepared committee. And to touch on what Ms. Morse said, yes, it is important to have an emergency operation plan. But also there is already in the process where the mayor, town administrator, chief of police, and the fire department all gonna get together, we all gonna complete that emergency operation plan. A committee is not required to do that, it's just the appropriate people to do that. When it comes to doing emergency operation plan, some of that stuff is confidential, and it's not to be public knowledge due to some of the sensitive nature of the emergency operation plan. So, that being said, I appreciate all the comments, I appreciate y'all giving me 3 months to investigate this, and I'm just gonna go ahead and make a motion to disband the votes to the house.
I second that motion.
It was seconded as the discussion.
And Mr. Mayor, I was hoping to have this come about a different way, but allow me a little time to address this. First of all, I think everybody cares about the safety of our town. And I'm thankful for the work of our former town councilor and the EPC and what we did in that committee. I have a sign at my house, I'm glad for that sign, and I'm also thankful for Chief Kersley and our chief of police. It's a tough thing to do, we need to make sure that we're safe, and I think the safety of our town is critical. At the same time, it's really evident the town of Scottsville cares about Jack Maxwell. And cares about Jack Maxwell a lot, and having his heart and his commitment to this town, and all that he's done, Jamie, I'm thankful for what you shared about. I think it's worth noting that the Chamber of Commerce last year voted Jack as that award. We also had an award that we gave Jack a few years ago to thank him for his effort in helping clean up the Van Cleef nature area. In fact, at the time, there were a number of volunteers that came, and I was one of them, and was thankful to be a part of that. One thing I would like to say, we humans err, we make mistakes. I know I've made mistakes as a town councilor, I've made mistakes as a person. And there are things I wish I had done differently. I wish I had slowed down the conversation last week. I wish I had done more to be a defender of Jack. At the same time, it's a tricky thing, right? The safety of our town is more than one person. We are tied to the county. There are things that happen. I have some daughters who live in Hawaii, and they just went through a worry about a tsunami. We got a big hurricane right off the coast here, which is likely not to affect us this time. But they're real. These things are real. And so we have to balance as a town, a caring volunteer, erring human beings. I'm one of them. As we try to figure out how do we have a heart as a town, how do we work together, how do we come up with better solutions? I don't think disbanding the committee is the right thing to do at this moment. In fact, I'd like us. I think there was new information shared tonight that we didn't know. I know I didn't know it. I did not know some of this information, and I feel like it would be an injustice to Jack and an injustice to this town to vote tonight to disband the committee. I think it would be also unwise, given we were just had information from willing volunteers who didn't hear. Now, I understand that wasn't your intention, but I'm
My future disbanded committee, what you have brought up, and you have brought up single individual, I have not mentioned Jack one bit. I am very appreciative of all the volunteer work Jack has done. This is not about individual, this is about committee. Committee a group that is more than one person. We're putting it up with Jack. This is not about Jack whatsoever, this is about the committee, this is about whether, it needs to be done, and that the town of Scottsville need to have a committee to focus on that.
Just to follow up on you, Councilor Thompson, I agree, there's an issue of the committee itself. And on the committee alone, we were given information tonight that I think there's a reason, I'm not just speaking to you, I'm speaking to all of us. If I would have had a chance to introduce a motion, I would suggest we give it another 3 months to actually allow us to have the new information that was just presented to us. When I say new information, there are volunteers who just said, I wanted to be a part, but I didn't know. Again, I'm not faulting you, I make mistakes, like I said, I wish I had defended some things differently. The other thing is, there are complicating things that were shared by our chief of police and fire chief. They understand it's not a minor thing to make sure that we both serve the safety of the town, but also take good care of Scottsville citizens. And so I just would suggest that we slow down as a council and we reconsider something. Maybe we'll come up to the same conclusion 3 months from now, but I suggest we slow this down.
Yeah, I want to say, I agree, it's not about the volunteer. It's a charter committee that never found its way or can't continue. And, I think we have a very strong fire and police department. And that has to be the priority, and if we're gonna do emergency, the biggest emergency is floods. And, if we have an emergency committee that's not including and not cooperating and not coordinating with the police and fire. And has, experience and leadership, which they have. I don't think the town just doesn't have the resources to come down to it, we just don't have, we're small, simple. We have very limited amount of money, we have very few volunteers. We could hardly get volunteers for committees, let alone for town council, so the people there's just not enough people to do that, I think that's it. The other thing is, I think Albemarle's got some resources that we can collaborate with them, and they are far more experienced than any of us could be. And I would like to move it, the issues of emergencies, to the government service or a public service committee, and they could bring them up there and we could pass it on. But I just feel like, we have such limited resources that and very limited experienced leadership that, I don't think it makes sense to have an emergency, committee when we can't fully support it with the people here, it just takes too much work. We have enough difficulty just getting people that some of the other charter committees, we have 6 charter committees, so there are only 2 in operation. So I just think that's just unfeasible and not sensible to keep that going.
Other discussions?
So from what I've learned here this evening about work that the EPC has done past year. And from what I'm hearing is it might need to be re-energized, continue somehow. With people out there that I see nodding heads, there will probably be willing to be part of the re-energized committee. So Councilman Grisco, I think makes a valid point there. I mean, what was it called? It's the cost of 3 more months. And just my thought on counting on the county for anything, that's like trying to carry water from each month. Hey, we can't count on them for a nickel, let alone, I'd rather. I kind of have Scottsville Fire and Rescue come out for fire money, but again, it doesn't cost anything that I'm aware of. If you give more time, the citizens don't seem to be on board. That's all.
I would say that if you would go ahead.
I'm just gonna follow up and just say it again, that I'm saying again, in agreement with you, that we were presented new information that was new to me. I would think it's new to some of the others on the council, and I think it's wise that we take the time to process it, and like you said, took the extra 3 months.
I would say that this committee did not have wind in its sails 3 months ago, as it does not have wind in its sails today. That's because the wind, which was an amazing wind, is in the crowd with us right now, and you really did some amazing stuff with the committee. I think, as you have said frequently when we have new councilmen here, you have to find something you're interested in, you have to find something that you have some passion for, and I can speak for myself and say that that's not a committee I would have any passion for, and you guys can answer that question yourself. This is a vote to dissolve the committee. It is not impugning anyone, it is not against anyone. If we have an election coming up, if their new counselor is in, they can restart the committee if they have an interest in doing that. This is bothering me because it's been turned into a personal attack, and I don't think that's necessary. I don't think it's professional. I don't think it's responsible for adults to be encouraging someone to go against advice from an institution that they're volunteering at, or adults that are supervising them. Let's separate those two things right now. I think people have made their position clear that this is not about an individual. We love that individual. Let's vote on the committee. If someone wants to reinstate this committee in the future, do it.
You have several committees that are trying
Right.
why this, why
I'll
this one
say,
happened?
any more comments from the audience?
Yes, of course not.
Any more discussion?
Well, I mean, I do like the idea of like, if somebody wanted to get together outside and come back with, we just can't even come back with some idea, maybe we can find it, see if it's worth it, but I agree, it's not something that anybody's really interested in, and many volunteers are not interested in.
If we're volunteer for something, we're volunteer to help fire department really costs. I think that's first pretty good.
Okay.
We've asked, nobody signed it.
All we think, unless there's one problem, you got training once a year, just make sure you gotta put
That's
what they, so I turn on the pump. It's 180.
Yep.
And that's where we really need volunteers. So the fire will be free up to fight a fire. It must be stuck in the pump house now, every 4 hours at midnight, and have to rely on engine up the road to come help somebody. Anyhow, the motion been made, seconded, and discussed to do with the emergency preparedness committee as it stands. And the motion
Alex, the seventh
Yes.
to disband, correct?
Yes.
Bill Heisen,
Did you skip over? Did you skip over that?
You're only sitting in the LLC.
you guys are sitting around.
Oh, okay. Yes, yeah.
That's all.
David Show,
Now,
Edward Payne,
yes.
Walter Townsend,
Yeah.
Roger Whitley,
No,
4 to disband. And 2 to not, so it's. Motion stands.
the sort of. Paying all this up in the work section. You have some valid concerns, and I'm going to go again.
I think we should remove our sport from this. I've heard from town staff that it's not something they're interested in doing right now. I also don't have an interest in it. If anyone else wants to comment on that, please. Feel free.
The motion,
That was a long motion. I move that we remove our support from CERT.
working on that motion now. So it's like,
That's it.
okay, Tyson seconds the motion, now we'll open that without a discussion.
Well, like to start with, we had a I think our town administrator came up with the rationales and restrictions and basically I went through those and it's just like, again, we just don't have the staff, the experience, the expertise for a lot of things that do with this CERT team. They have CERT teams other places, but from what I read, we don't have an official sponsor. We don't have liability insurance. We don't have coordination with other services. We don't have staff. We're not registered with FEMA. We don't have I don't believe we have a qualified training program manager. And we don't have members who are completed the search training, enough members anyway, to keep it going. And it's about resources and budget. We just have limited staff capacity and we storage. We just don't, we can't even keep all these things in our gear. And I think if we did it, it should be in a separate area with separate people, not in this town office. We just can't manage it. I think it's just overwhelming for our little town.
I will just follow up and say I've appreciated that we have had it. I think with the loss of the EPC, I don't know how I don't know where it would fit at the moment, and
It's two separate things.
I know it's two separate things, yes, I'm aware of that. Thank you for reminding me. But what I'm saying is, it has function related to that committee has. I'm saying that since we've voted not to have it, I don't see where we would hold it at the moment, and with the recommendation our town administrators have. It'd be different if we still had the committee, but we don't.
Other discussion?
To touch on, the, like Mr. Tyson said, at this moment, John's got to does not have to fund for the resources. And there are the legal implications. I have been in touch with Mr. Maxwell, I have spoken with him, and I had even suggested with him to reach out to Albemarle County. He did reach out to Albemarle County, I think Albemarle County has said that they were really welcome to work with them on keeping the program going. Albemarle County operated a much bigger budget, they have the available resources, and they also have a bunch of people. At the same time, the 13 going to Albemarle County, it not only gives them a bigger opportunity in a bigger area to help serve the community as the community is going to respond to. And Mr. Maxwell did say that he did reach out and Albemarle County got back in touch with him. So at the same time, y'all, since I had recommended EPC be disbanded, I was still a champion trying to keep the secretary going forward. And I was trying to help the father there, deal with that more better.
So you say you should keep the search program going until
Got
there's a plan to move it.
the STEP program for the work at Albemarle County. When the STEP program, there are, in order to sponsor it, we have the legal avenue, and then when got to at this point in time. As of today, we don't have the resources or the oversight to sponsor searching. So it's got to do away with searches, it would just allow Albemarle counties. If they have, we got one volunteer who want to help, they can come join us over there. And not only that, instead of making it Scottsdale, you do the whole entire thing in Albemarle, a much bigger area, much more opportunity. And that way, it's a, if you get a volunteer, it still allows them volunteers, just not in Scottsdale, but it's kind of Albemarle. I'm thankful for our volunteers, I really am. I just want to get opportunity before this moment, Scottsdale does not have the opportunity for searching.
Others? You know, you want to read the motion back?
Motion to remove support from our CERT, from CERT.
You can just leave the motion there. If you
Okay.
want to say I adjusted it, that's fine.
It's been moved, and seconded, and discussed, so I'll ask the clerk to call the vote.
Alex Lissette,
Yes.
Bill Heisen,
What is yes and?
Rick
Oh, is it already this?
Yes.
Yes.
Dan Gritsko,
Yes.
Edward Payne,
Yes.
Walter Townsend,
Yeah,
Roger Whitney.
No.
Motion passes 5-0. 5-1, so.
I'm gonna ask your, the council's, indulgence with the scan lease, the scan lease needs to be renewed, before October, so I know some scan here tonight, just prior to the meeting, I was given a markup copy of the proposed lease that the board looked at, the market is date. And my suggestion is we put this table, this in the work session, so everybody has a chance to see it. And then we talk about it work session, and we go about it in the September council meeting. We need, in the course.
That sounds good.
Sounds all right with everybody? So the back of the stamp, you can comment, but I don't think we're all knowledgeable about the changes that we made, to the duty of justice. Yeah. All right, these people about mowing.
Yeah, we discussed that and I received, two different quotes and we decided to go with, Kevin Quick's son.
Okay.
And,
We've got
for the remainder of the season, I'm sorry, I did not.
He does a good job, and we call him by his name.
So,
Is this, the season will end in, do we have a date that, in November, December? Or can we,
yes, I think November. Is that too late?
Probably September.
Although we have too much rain, maybe.
Make a motion that we, approve that, moving what?
some of, second,
$500,
would that be to be a little bit, was that be to cover cut grant and how that can just. No, it was a, no, a lot of.
I'll go to vote for call, and I'll see them go. We vote on that. All right, so. I'll make a motion that we do what we want.
So moved.
And,
Second.
one discussion. And, look.
Alex Lissette,
Yes.
Bill Heisen, Dan Gritsko,
yeah.
Edward Payne,
Yes.
Walter Townsend,
Yeah.
Roger Whitney.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. We, all the more vehicle work, we got some about is the stores that are we don't block for 3 months, people at fire, fire tags. We really didn't have any means to have towed away, other than our yes, because we didn't have comparable motor vehicle ordinance on the books that we can refer to, say, if we were vehicle to be operable, within 50 days, we're going to tow it. We have to read, we have in the car control. So, what we need to do, and then this policy communities, because we want to do this in the place. Check out some other jurisdictions. Inoperable vehicle ordinances, in order to ban the vehicle. And, I know that other than just your county, you have a million vehicle on your property, it costs you $10 a year in tax. Took the, very fortunate with my neighbors, but,
We want that, listen, from what I've gathered, other places, they, usually if a vehicle has a, dead inspection sticker, dead license plate, or then again, as you say, flat out, obvious, and then I think I don't know the exact details, in some places where if a vehicle has sat in public parking spot for more than 48 hours. It can do that, then again, at the same time, who is posted, it can have to.
So that's, that when she was here, you got into this discussion, and it was. Somebody worried that the car had been sitting there every 3 days on the city's street in a parking space, they had to move to be towed. That wasn't gonna work, so as soon as you park your car in front of your house, well, they gave 2 weeks. Right, you know, to a while. And the car is to move. But it's not, that's the thing about the parking around here, it's a designated parking space, and your car has proper tags. You park it there, we don't have any ordinances about, you don't have anybody to check it. If that car's in every 3 days, you don't know that well, the night goes down, what you like, it goes back and parks in the same place every day. So, see what you can find out, Mr. Price, about inoperable cars, you're not worried about all of the cars right now, yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor, actually, I have a document here that, I did when I, was looking at the ordinance. I did look at Albemarle and Charlottesville. I thought I had provided this, but maybe I didn't. I can search.
First government services, like them. So, see what we can find out.
That's good information. I think I did see some of that.
Because it also goes, I think I spoke about this last week or the last meeting that we had, but it also talks about. If someone's a hobbyist and they redo cars, and I think, Charlottesville for one. Does not allow, you know, they don't make that exception, whereas Albemarle does.
I know we need to on this public parking
Okay,
out here,
right,
behind the research. Public parking lots, don't want cars sitting there, the others, doing the rush. Just on a city street, it's newly licensed and they're not, there's no sign saying no parking override or what you are, what you only do. That's kind of out of our jurisdiction. It's, cars sitting out here in the public lot, you know, about towns off, basically.
So we're not interested in inoperable cars sitting on some of the property in the town. Okay,
I don't know, we can explore that, but,
I mean, I get from the point of view.
where I live.
Points of view, and I'm not looking behind
Do
people.
we have to work on that, ones that are.
Yeah, I'm not looking behind people's houses either.
I like, so there's one down here on, Main Street, it just it has no tag.
If you want to, you know, like, I get people to say, like, if somebody had to look at their car in a museum. Or.
That's one thing, yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's, you know,
You gotta
It's
get
out.
that out. Security.
the engine is out, and then all it's missing are the cinder blocks, you know, it has to move, you know,
When,
I mean,
where I moved from, it was located at, Visual Aid.
Yeah.
And I got a off with the car, we do know the garage, or we can fence and lock it, everybody that park the RVs and the boats.
What about us, what about? Definition something not. Inoperable vehicles, so maybe we'll come up with something else, or something like that. For housing for property within the historic district, make an attempt to. Somewhat keep it clean. I do know the place that you grant the 2 feet tall, we come credit for you, much into the house.
We have other ones.
But, well, it's similar idea, saying, you know, if you can't.
Well, see, we're gonna help us there, go down some of those houses, no business, if you don't have a city now, we were trying to get some information, we already did. Volunteer application for having. Confidential. Which one looks like the best?
No, the only, concern is the James River landing lot, is that a boat there? I think we ought to take that out if it is, because you know, we don't want to ask people, park at a boat landing.
I'm sorry, you
Yeah, the parking, we talked about the parking lot. Well,
No,
that's it, I'm sorry. Oh, that's it, I'm ahead.
We're not even talking about the park,
Oh, okay, then no.
so, we're talking about the volunteer application.
Yeah.
Go to that and see if there are any changes that you can see they.
Well, yeah.
Was there? Yeah, that's good. Oh. Does that follow all the guidelines on the volunteer policy that you did plan?
Yes.
Will each volunteer to get one of these, guidelines?
Yes, and,
I will find.
yeah, they signed for it and, they certify that they're speaking the truth and, there's references here, what they're interested in. Their type of work, their volunteer work that they would be interested in, is not to go over.
I sent you something that helped suggestions about this, about maybe having interest, also in maintenance. Lay out a little bit, it's, watering plants or, you know.
It's on here,
It is, okay.
like meetings or, no,
There's no traffic exception, so
What?
this one.
Oh, it's that.
That, if you look.
Oh, I can see that, okay.
Question. What we consider agents, officers,
No, I'm talking about the application.
audience, or volunteers?
All that, but it goes wrong. It's all tagged.
Can I write this down from?
Yeah, I could be wrong, huh?
So I'm.
no.
What am I listening to?
Well, really, not to take back, I'm just sort of thinking that the town council, put this volunteer form together and put the policy together. He's the one, along with the whole town clerk, but he specifically has got to enforce it and supervise the volunteers in-house here. If she's comfortable working with it, I'm comfortable with both.
I'm gonna feel one.
Yeah.
So we're entertaining motion.
I make a motion that we accept the volunteer form and policy.
I think we can.
Discussion.
Well, no, I do think it should be an application, maybe it's not, and I say that they're responsible to the town administrator as the director. I think you tell them you hand them the paper. Right, but I think, well, anyway, I just think it ought to be clear that they're responsible for.
I believe that, I'll look, but I believe it is in the policy that they.
Oh, it's on policy, okay. Okay, I didn't go through that part. Okay.
Says volunteers must check in with the town clerk or designated supervisor.
Oh, okay.
Weekly
Okay.
And they're not remaining after staff depart.
Okay, I didn't see that, I didn't need that.
They can't have keys, security codes.
Okay.
If we move to second, any further discussion? Madam Clerk?
Alex Set,
Yes.
Bill Tyson,
Yes.
Dan Gritsko,
Yes.
Edward Payne,
Yes.
Walter Townsend,
Yeah,
Roger Whitley,
Yes.
motion passed 5-0.
I was just curious, do we have a list of volunteers who are? That have, do we have, people run a list of volunteers that, so we know who they are, and,
This happened.
like are we volunteers? Do we have found this? This winter, who qualifies as a volunteer?
I would walk this along the street and say, hey, you know, what are the plants out there today? Yeah, if you look from all sides of the thing, you know.
So we don't have any volunteers, so I guess.
Just, this.
There's a few around, but yeah.
I'm not sure I understand. Is that what you talked to? That's a lot of big. It's not those. So I just wondered. Yeah, some chance that he's on, so it's connected, it's.
Well, like you got was like you got so.
That's what, yeah, he's called, he says.
Yes. Let's go on to cell towers.
All right, so, hopefully you have in your packet. There's different proposals or letters that we've gotten from the city company several times over. I still think the current lease, which is, what we have right now is, the best interest of financially in the, for the town. And then I also included in here, what the payout is for the next, few years, going to 2055. And then I also put in here, I think when I was Googling this, it kept on popping up like a suggestion that we needed to hire cell tower lease expert. So I was like, okay, let me look at this and see what this is all about. So I included the information. It looks like it's sort of cut off and it's.
Yeah, we did that for repair.
You did?
Yeah, we
So we hired somebody.
Shopping we not have.
They basically told us for a whole bunch of thousands of dollars because it's.
Oh, okay, all right, well, never mind. That's, anyway, again, I just, the current lease, we get an increase, a 15% increase every 5 years. We just, got an increase in, July 1st of this year. And, that's, we're looking at $1,420,000 if we stick with the current lease, until 2059. And some of the other proposals that and then some of them actually go ahead and already wrote about and decline, but I included it in here. What the losses would be if we took the initial, fine.
That's something we should study and discuss in the next session.
You created a motion on this or at all?
As you stated that,
I can certainly break it down even more.
what we have now benefit town, but what they're offering that will benefit now.
Oh, yeah, that'll be a benefit, perfect. And it's, they're not, doing it to benefit us, but.
Somebody wants to make a motion to stick with the current contract until they come back with something other.
So move.
So if you want to make
Alex said so moved, I'd say second.
any further discussion.
What I will say is, when we were originally presented this a while back, the options were better at the time, but we also found out from our town attorney that we couldn't go with an option that we were most favored because it was a longer time period than we were allowed.
Yes.
And then in the length of the time period, ultimately, it's come back to where it seems to make the most sense to stay where we are.
Right, and one of the things that they have offered or put in their most recent proposal is they wanna have a right of first refusal. And so that would be. Like if we decided to try to go with, if someone else approached us, like, I'm just making this up, but let's say Verizon or somebody comes along, they wanna give us a new lease. Then, the American Tower has the first right, they can agree or disagree. And in my opinion, it's really not any good for us to agree to that at all, because it ties our hands. As far as I'm concerned, but.
Any further discussion? Adam Clerk?
Alex Cassette,
Yes.
Bill Heisen, Dan Ritzau,
Yes.
Ed McCain,
Yes.
Walter Townsend,
Yeah,
Roger Whitney,
Yes.
motion passes 5-0.
And then we can talk about this business license, the orders.
6-0.
So that I reviewed stuff for existing business license fees ordinance. And, actually, because we're so small, there's a maximum that we can. As far as less than 25,000 population, the max we allowed by law is $30. And so we have to charge them. $50. So, you need to update that ordinance and then we'll advertise that along with the other.
And that's basically if we're just someone who comes in off the street, wants to apply for a business license.
Right. Yes,
$30.
and it'll end up, at $30 up against the non-refundable.
And we can get it right now,
Yes,
but you want to, those,
yes,
we cannot draw both those.
that is correct.
That's probably what we do in the law.
Yes, sir, it is,
You're the road.
If the politics and then people start complaining about, tax. Same tax, whatever.
State code 58.1-3703 reads towns with a population smaller than 25,000 are permitted to set a business license or net profit fee up to a maximum of $30 per business per year. This is the cap specifically meant for the smallest towns, whether your population is 520 or 5,000. I had given it 520, it's not said that.
That's not something the town did incorrectly, plus 50 allowed by the state, what the town attorney said, right? It was a change in
I believe you're right, I believe he did say that.
So, can we be grandfathered in on that, just for the county?
No, if the state thinks of that code, the fact that 50. Because what issue we could break back up. Because at this point, we've lost 40% of our business licenses. And I don't know, total kind but.
There's a difference here between applying your business license and paying your default tax. Default tax could have.
Yes. Yeah,
But whereas for the last couple of years, I have made it up a lot of business to pay. More than $50, I still have to pay. Now they're all gonna have to work it. But if food line, they say check $40,000.
I see.
and the code also talks, it says no gross receipts threshold applies. The minimum flat fee can be charged even if a business has no or little, very little revenue. So there you go.
So if you want to vote on that, you set up public hearing next, or we want to discuss a work session, so.
It seems,
Say give us some time.
I'm not sure what we have to,
We have to have a public hearing.
no, I know that.
According to, our attorney, because we're, decreasing the amount, we do not, but it would be probably, we're already gonna have a meeting anyway, so.
Which is be better to advertise it, people want to come and do cheaper.
If you make the announcement, we'll go out with, they won't. It would have an effect next July, correct? But everybody got to pay, correct?
No, when people come in, off the street, this is all year long. It's not, it doesn't go out this in the year,
Comes in tomorrow when you turn,
$30.
yeah, so it's already,
That was, our attorney said,
yeah.
I should immediately, start charging with, $30. And, I think someone was asking how long it would take, once, there's 28 days that we know by, and then. Vote on it and maybe.
Technically. October first.
Not like the swamp, being with people who are going to do business.
Right,
If they don't
We
pay,
only hope.
are they, penalized if they don't pay on time or late or forget to pay? Are they-
Yeah,
There's a help.
You wanna. What's time notice for setting up public hearing?
we have to advertise for at least 7 days.
We do it next work session, decide to have a public hearing, we have time to get, we have time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you want us to just do it now?
Yeah, we do it then. Yeah, we just go ahead, since we don't have to have a public hearing, we'll go ahead and do it now. You know, wait. Motion.
I move that we have a public hearing for the change in the business license fee ordinance.
Okay.
Discussion. All in favor? Good. All right, looks like it breaks down to the adjournment. Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
So,
Second, anybody opposes? All in favor? Discuss.
thank you, everyone.